Okay, we're live. A little bit. We're not on LinkedIn yet.
LinkedIn.
Let's see if people keep joining.
Okay. What's happening?
I don't see anyone joined yet, but we'll just keep monitoring things and see how it goes. Yeah, I'm trying to double check on everything. Making sure all the links are right. Yeah, making sure everything is good to go. Okay, I think I put the wrong link on there, so
So we're moving again to another.
no, we're on here. And I'm just making sure that the LinkedIn Live is live. Could you check it if it's live on LinkedIn if you see it there? If you see it under Mine Live. And if anyone is seeing us live, can they put something in the chat? Because that would be really helpful to make sure, people aren't just watching us. And yeah, that would be really helpful. Because we'd love to get started when people are here.
Yeah, it says happening now on top.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so Joshua's here, so I guess we can get started then. I'm Kate. I'm a recruiter and founder at Silicon Savannah Solutions. And this is Moses. And Joshua says the sound and video are great, so that's perfect. And this is Moses, the founder of MSEC Consulting. So Moses, can you introduce yourself a bit?
Hi everyone. Hi Joshua. As she said, my name is Moses, the founder of MSN Consulting. I'm a cybersecurity specialist with almost half a decade of experience in the field. I've worked on numerous assessment, previously worked with KPMG and other companies, and I'm happy to be here and to talk more about cybersecurity and some challenges that people are facing in terms of security.
Yeah, when I was a student of computer science, which, only got a minor in computer science, but even talking to people that got a major in computer science, but I've had, also 6 years of working in the field. A lot of the education in computer science and building an app, and I'm an app developer now. The education of even a full major was, hey, let's talk about at least a little bit about like the mathematics of encryption, which is great and interesting and all. And then let's talk about SQL injection, and that was it. And it just feels solely inadequate when you're going to spend your whole profession in this career. And I think cybersecurity is becoming so much more important. And so, Moses and I were talking, and we're just like, hey, let's talk about, not everyone's going to have the budget for, a full cybersecurity assessment and going to have the budget to go, do everything, but like for startups and small businesses, you can do something, right? Like I've seen things that are supposed to be HIPAA compliant, like that in healthcare. I've seen things that are doing like that have payments on their applications, like things that really should be doing something and they're doing nothing. And to me, it's just a little outrageous and frustrating. And so we thought we'd have this webinar. Yeah, and so from my perspective, as a recruiter, that helps on the side, my main job is as a software engineer for FieldKit, and that's, where I spend a bulk of my time coding. But I also help people startups find really quality, really great software engineers in Kenya. And then one of them, cybersecurity being Moses, that can come in and do it at, the prices that people would dream of, um, and at a like doing these great assessments and people are so happy. I thought, yeah, let's just do it and talk about it. So, yeah, so that's, I guess, Moses, you can take it away and kind of talk about what you do, when someone comes in for an app or a web app or yeah, like what can people do when they're a startup, people are on a budget, um, you know what kind of assessments can you come in and do, or what can they do themselves?
Okay, so for me, I specialize in red teaming, penetration testing. Basically, I come in, let's say you have a mobile application or a web application or just a simple website that you want me to test. I'll come in with the mindset of a hacker and try and see how a hacker will get into your maybe your app or your website or your mobile application. And then after that, I'll give you a detailed report on what I found. Like, did I manage to break in? Did I manage? What did If I did manage to break in, what did I manage to do? Did I manage to find sensitive information? Did I manage to do lateral movement? Did I manage to get admin access? And then I give you like how I did it and recommendation on how to do it. So let's say you're a startup and you don't have the budget or you don't have the resources to have like a cybersecurity team within there. There's some things that you can do. Like there is so many free resources that you can use, from open source tools to like open source guides on how to do your own penetration tests. So there's a lot to do.
Mhm.
I can take you through like some of the common vulnerabilities which are found in, let's say, mobile application. And then from this, you can easily be like, oh, you know what? I'll just look for the top 10 vulnerability because from the application that I've done pen test, me myself, like 95% of them, I've found some of these vulnerabilities that I'll share to you.
95%.
Yes.
That's a
So
lot.
in the cybersecurity world, we do say that everything is breakable.
Mhm.
Everything can be hacked. So it
Yeah.
depends on like how like the safeguards you've put in place. And we found that 95% of web application and mobile application, they're not as secure as they seem.
Yeah. I know you came in for our company, which for Field Kit, and it's great, and like really appreciate that. And um, yeah, it was great to see things that you think something. Unfortunately, like WordPress and some of these plugins, you
Yeah.
working with a vendor and you'd hope that they would update their stuff and they're not. And so we were able to go to them and just be like, "Hey," like even as a software engineering team, um, yeah, I think you said we were pretty on top of our stuff, which was really great to hear, compared to some of our competitors, but yeah, there's always stuff to find.
Yeah,
So what
like
kind of stuff can Oh, sorry, go ahead.
uh, so like I was saying, like the outdated software, like especially plugins or when you're dealing with a third-party vendor or software, is one of the most common vulnerabilities out there. Because you'll find that most companies are using a software from a third party, and then maybe the third party they have released a patch or an update, and then you'll find since the company has limited resources, these updates and patch just fly under the radar, and this is
Mhm.
a gold mine for hackers because there are non-exploits out there. You can literally Google like
Yeah.
that software and find an exploit that you can just plug and play and get into the application.
Yeah, and I know there's tools like Sync out there that I've used that, will look at packages that, libraries that are, not updated, but, yeah, so that's one tool you can use, but it's not there. And you're seeing the questions on the side, right?
Yes,
Okay,
let me
so you can answer those whenever you feel like it. Um, I'm kind of here to kinda guide the conversation, but, Moses, this is your platform and your space, so, feel free to do things as you wish.
Oh yeah, so I've seen there's an interesting question here. I'm curious to hear Moses' thought on how AI tools factor into security practices. Are there AI tools that can help enforce good cybersecurity practices, or does AI make security mistakes? This is a very interesting topic. So I'll talk about something that happened like 2 weeks ago. So there is this tool called Babsuit. It's a proxy, one of the best penetration testing tools. You can test web application, you can test API with it. It's automated and they've introduced this AI feature with it. And the
Mhm.
good thing about this, you can also get an API key this to automate your like scans on your tool so that you don't have to do it manually. And the AI feature is absolutely amazing because this thing runs, tells you the mistakes, gives you detailed steps on how to do it, and if you want to exploit it, it tells you step by step on how to exploit it, and it can even generate exploits for you. From a half-cast perspective, it's really good, but also from an internal team, a blue team, it's really amazing because you have different views on how to different views on how to secure yourself. You see how the hacker can attack, and also it gives you like a view on how to defend yourself, which is really amazing. And that is yeah, and that's just one of the tools out there, which is AI. And we as per now, as for me, I think AI is just coming here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And we're expecting more AI to be brought into cybersecurity. And I'm so excited about that.
Mhm. Yeah, and I can kind of add on to Joshua's question as a software engineer, if that's okay. I see a lot of messy code, and a lot of I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword, as you talked about. I kind of wanted to, yeah, I kind of vibe. If it's okay if I jump in here?
Yeah.
Um, I was doing some of these like prompts, and I did these with the help of ChatGPT, but like here's some prompts that I made for Flutter specifically, um that you could like prompt in. I really find that giving one at a time is really useful. If you give too many prompts at a time, it kind of gets overwhelmed and it doesn't give you as useful of answer. For cursor, if you give like these different prompts and you just tell it like, hey, can you look for these different vulnerabilities? Um, yeah, it'll look through your code base and find these. In my day job, I'm actually not allowed to use AI in a lot of regards. So I don't. But for a personal project, these are some of the prompts that I've been using. So yeah, I don't know. I can send this out if it's helpful for people. But I think it's Peter that asked there. Is that Peter Somerville? He asked that what was the tool that you had mentioned?
So the tool it's called Babsuit. And also, if you're looking for, let's say you want to do your own penetration test on your own, but you don't know the commands, because some of the tools for penetration testing require like command line, but you're not proficient in that. There is another AI which is specialized in cybersecurity. It was trained in cybersecurity. It's called a White Rabbit.
Mm,
Best thing, it can guide you step by step. Just think about ChatGPT, but specific for cybersecurity. So the first tool you can use is Babsuit AI. So you can just go to Babsuit or Podswigger, and then you will see there it has a free version and a paid version. The free version is more than enough. And then you've got now White Rabbit Neo, which is completely free. It's really amazing. For me, sometimes I use it as a co-pilot for penetration testing because it's easier to
mm.
just follow a specific framework.
Okay, cool. Anything you wanted to add to this subject, or should we move on?
In terms of tools, yes, we can move on to AI factor tools. We can move on.
Okay. So what are the common yeah, what are some of the common vulnerabilities you see?
Oh, so we've got like insecure data storage. You'll
Mm-hmm.
find like most apps they store sensitive data in like plain text,
Mm-hmm.
passwords, API keys, stuff like that. This is easy. It makes it easy for a
Mm-hmm.
hacker to just break in because they have everything they need over there. So insecure data storage is something like a hacker sees it and is just salivating to hack you. It's like a beacon for please hack me. But yeah, and then another one which is really, really common, you'll find is like insecure communication, especially because most of the tools for penetration testing are like proxies, like the one I mentioned, Babstool. It's a proxy. So I can intercept traffic between the app itself and the server.
Mm-hmm.
So this if this communication is not encrypted, that means I can see everything that's going from one side to another, and I can
Mm-hmm.
manipulate it however I want. I can just create fake queries and see how the server handles the query and how I can manipulate it to see what's stored in the server. So like secure communication is really most like people fail. You'll be surprised on how many apps do not use HTTPS for communication, and Once I see HTTP, I'm like, oh, here's something I can work on. So yeah, the second thing is like insecure communication, and then we talked about like outdated software and third-party softwares.
Mhm.
Yeah, like if I had an app, I'll just make sure I check for updates regular. Like
Mhm.
Microsoft, I think it releases patches and updates of every Tuesday.
Mm.
Yeah, so you can just have like every Tuesday I check, okay, updates and patch that, patch that, patch that. Because imagine this, once a software, like a big software like Microsoft, they release a 0 day, like,
Mm.
like the notification, oh, we found a 0 day, here's the patch. It takes minimum 2 hours for a hacker somewhere to find an exploit, write an
Mhm.
exploit on it, and run it. And if
Mhm.
it's a 0 day, you as the user or who is using that software, you won't know if you're compromised or not.
Mhm.
And you'll find that for most businesses, it takes
Mhm.
a month, 2 months to patch these outdated softwares. By that time, you'll find a hacker has been in your system, is already established a foothold, she's installed additional malware, so it's going to be hard to kick him out. So just regular updates that could really improve. And then there's like another one, weak authentication. This
Mhm.
is really, because if you have weak authentication, it makes it easy for, let's say, me to just brute force. I can weak authentication, you can have two-factor authentication, you can have, let's say, password. If I'm trying to, you can set such that when a user puts, let's say, four password wrong, it locks him out for a given period of time. Because if you don't, I can come with a brute forcing tool like Hydra, which I can do credential spraying. I can just put a bunch of username and bunch of password and just runs on it until it finds a successful one. So yeah, those are the most common ones. Outdated software, and also, one of my favorite, insufficient input validation. This can lead to SQL injection. I mean, as a developer, you should assume anything coming from the client side is malicious. You should just validate it, because if you don't,
Mhm.
yeah, you should just assume that, because people will do SQL injection, cross-site scripting, all those can just be put in there. And these are very like simple things to fix and control, but they can have a really, really big impact.
Oops, I didn't mean to. Let me hide that. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so those are some of the common, very common vulnerabilities that I face almost every day.
Okay, sharing a link here with someone. Yeah. Okay. So do you have any interesting stories of vulnerabilities that you found?
Oh, yes, I do. Of course I do. I've been doing this for almost half a decade. Of course I do. So, yes, there was a client, a very big client here in Kenya, very big. And I went there, they're like, oh, our security, because if you go there as a cybersecurity expert, they make it hard for you, especially if they know like something is wrong, they make it hard for you. So I
Mhm.
went to this big, big company, and I was like, okay, let's see if we can find a vulnerability. So I did my scans. 10 minutes in, I found like they're using HTTPS. And I was like, yeah, let me dig onto this. Found that they are
You mean
just like,
HTTP or
yes,
okay, yeah.
HTTP, which is very, very insecure. So I
Mhm.
just had a bub suit, and I could see like like they were transferring credit card information as plain text. And I was like, ooh,
Oof.
whoa, this is nice. For me, it's nice. For them, it's not, because
I'm
for me,
cringing, but fair enough.
Yeah, for me it's nice because I found something that they can fix. For them, it's not
Yeah, it's just like you feel worthwhile that you did your job.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and it was also very scary because they've been doing this for almost 2 years.
Mhm.
They've been using this service,
Oh,
and it
no.
was, yeah, I was like, how long has been this going? I was like, we've been doing this for 2 years. I was like, no, you need to change it. So that's one of that. And then there is this other client it was not an app, but it was a business itself. So I went there. When you're doing a penetration test, first you need to check, find reconnaissance, find weak points, find other. So I went there first. I did a scan and I found they
Mhm.
have FTP. And I was like, okay, do you guys use FTP? And they were like, no, we don't. We don't use FTP. I was like, well, there is something happening here and there is an FTP happening. It's like, okay, can I look? I was like, can I look into it? They're like, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I looked into it and I found out that this FTP, which is file transfer protocol, it was sending files every, what time was it? Like 1 a.m. at night. It was sending specific files to a server somewhere. So I was like, okay, I found that this FTP is sending these documents to a certain server somewhere outside the company. Can I open the files we see? And then he was like, yeah. So I opened the files for them. I was like, okay, have a look first. The guy looked at it, and from the expression on their face, I just knew something was wrong. And I was like, what's up? He was like, this is every transaction we've made in the past 3 years.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So there's someone had already gone in and they were transferring transactional information every day at 1 a.m. using a protocol that they're not supposed to be using, but because they're not doing regular assessments, they missed it.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we were like, his face literally dropped down. So in that situation, now we move from going to do the pen test to damage control. So we try and stop that, try find, kick the hacker out. But if you find a hacker in a system for that long, you need
Mhm.
to. It's difficult because this person has been in the network for like 2 years. He's established backdoors and backdoors and backdoors. So the engagement goes from a pen test to incident response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think one of the things that we should probably talk about for app development, and since we're talking about, a lot of our audience is from the United States, like when should you work with a cybersecurity firm outside the United States, and when should you probably, stick to the United States? Do you have any insight on that?
Well, okay. I can talk about cybersecurity firms,
Mm-hmm.
let's say in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I have worked with big companies, like I've worked for big companies which are in the United States,
Yeah.
in Africa, right? And they do charge a lot of money.
Yeah. That
It-
startups don't always have, right?
Yes, startup don't have a budget for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think when you wanna work with an cybersecurity firm from Kenya, this should be for startups and small businesses that don't have the budget for big companies like KPMG and Deloitte.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll get the same service at a way cheaper price,
Mm-hmm.
a fraction of the price, same service, and you get a personalized experience because these people will take time.
Mm-hmm.
Because on a big company, they give you a nice service, but you are just a number in their Excel, a
Yeah.
number in their document, right? But for small firms, you're not just a number.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do the assessment with you. We'll work with you hand on hand to solve the vulnerabilities that we found. We'll do another assessment to make sure the vulnerabilities are fixed. We'll build a relationship with you to ensure you stay safe.
Mhm.
and you get this at a fraction of the price that you'll get from KPMG or Deloitte, where they'll just come, do an assessment, give you a report, and they go on to the next assessment and
Yeah.
forget about you. And they'll be like, okay, see you next year.
Yeah. I will say some of the cases where I've said, probably work with a US firm is when it's been HIPAA data.
Yeah,
So some healthcare companies, if you're really new and you're not dealing with data yet and you're just an app and you're like before the data, but if you are dealing with healthcare data and it's American data, or if you're a government firm, you might have to deal with a US firm. Like
yeah,
that you might be dealing with some regulation. The other time I've said it is if you're dealing with hardware, because hardware is kind of hard to import into Kenya.
yeah,
Um, and you're dealing with those are kind of some of the times where I've said, like, probably stick to a US firm, but other
yeah,
times it can work, and there's great talent elsewhere, and a lot of times you're using the same open source tools.
yeah. Like, yeah, most of the times you're using the same tools.
Mhm.
Like, okay, for me, we are using the same tools as them because I've worked for KPMG for a very long time. I
Mhm.
know what they do, and I was like, and when I was building my company, I was like, okay, this is what they do, this is what the big firms do, and
Mhm.
this is where I want to change. Because one of the things that forced me to build my own consulting firm was I was okay. I'll tell you just a story about it. So I, for 3 years, I had this client that I was doing assessment on
Mhm.
each year, because we when you work for a big firm, you have a lot of clients, and
Mhm.
they are pushing you to finish, so that you can get more. So they do the assessment, they give you a report, and then they move on to the next client. So for
Yeah.
me, I found that for 3 years, I each time I did a penetration test for that client, I found the same vulnerability still there for 3 years. So I was
Wow.
like, okay, this needs to change. So one of the reasons why I started my company is I want to change that. So
Mhm.
I do the penetration test, I give you the report and something called an issue tracker, which basically have every detail. And then
Mhm.
for the next few weeks, I work with you to solve those problems.
Yeah, and that
To
was
solve,
really great when working with us.
yeah,
Um,
we
I
solve,
remember yeah, we actually got them solved, and that was nice to report back to you, like, hey, we
yeah,
did something about this.
yes, and it makes me feel happy, like, oh, all the work that I did didn't go in vain. But if I come next year, I find the same thing, I'll be like, what am I doing here if you're not gonna fix this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's frustrating. Um, cool. Do we have any more questions from the audience? Because I know we're kind of at the halfway mark. So if anybody wants to put into the chat. I know Edwin had a question about the prompt guide. It's definitely still a work in progress, but I did send that to him. But yeah, we definitely would appreciate chat questions. I can look on there. In the meantime, I kind of put in there about compliance to there, so I can show another tool as well while we wait for um, it's not strictly vulnerability, but anytime you have bugs, you can run into some vulnerability issues. This is just a tool that I like. It's Firebase Test Lab. You can upload your APK to here. So we have one for Field Kit. Um, yeah, so you can see like some of these failed here, some of them succeeded. Um, Not strictly a vulnerability thing, but something I would share, and especially if you're trying to get the app up and running. Something I'd really recommend as a free tool. You get 5 devices, physical devices, and 10 virtual devices per day on free on that. Um, yeah, not strictly vulnerability, but you will get some outputs there, and that's a tool I wanted to share. Um, Yeah, I don't see any more chats coming in, but oh, we had the one that came in beforehand. Did you want to talk about what was that on documents that came in beforehand?
Oh, yeah, let's talk about that.
So what was do you want me to find the question and read it again?
Yes.
Okay, let me go through my messages here. So yeah, so this question was from Balaj. He says, as a future consulting company, I'm not already looked to secure the app, but also secure the client's business documents for IP and NDA. As a founder, to secure my communication channels to safeguard the same. Not sure. He says, I'm not sure. I'm maybe thinking too much in regards to the security part. But yeah, what's your response to that?
For me, I'll say, yeah, he's absolutely not thinking, he's not overthinking it. It's something that you really need to think about, because real security is not just protecting the app or one aspect of your business. It's about protecting your whole business ecosystem around it, especially when you are dealing with sensitive information like
Hmm.
NDAs and intellectual properties. These are very sensitive because a hacker can easily hack in, get the intellectual property and sell that to your competitors for, and then the competitors know exactly what you're doing, whatever you're doing, and they can just replicate that and, you know, win against you in the market.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like cybersecurity is not just about the application, it's about the whole business, the website, the app itself, the people, because there's also social engineering,
Mhm.
the documents in the website, the policies, everything.
So how would you secure your documents and your communication?
So you can like for documents, you can use like zero trust cloud environment. There
Hmm.
is some cloud document that have zero trust, and you can only access or just a limited people. And for communication, you can just quickly set up PGP on your email to ensure that you have end-to-end encryption, or you can use mail providers that have end-to-end encryption so that so
Hmm.
that even when and your email is intercepted by a hacker, it cannot be decrypted because it's all encrypted. It's just gibberish.
Okay. Is there any ones you recommend?
Uh, okay, there is like Proton Mail. I know that has end to end, but if you don't want to use that, you can just easily set PGP on your mail server and it should encrypt it if you're using a custom email.
Okay,
PGP encryption is one of the best encryptions so far out there for email protection.
great. And then we got another question in. Yeah, what are some good ways to communicate with current and prospective customers that are using good security practices besides certifications like SOC 2 or HIPAA?
Yeah.
Well, HIPAA is a very, you know, complicated piece of law. There's a lot to it.
Oh yeah, there's a lot to HIPAA. But yeah, let me.
Yeah. So do you want to go into maybe some specific ways that you can communicate with customers?
Yeah, there's some specific ways that you can do this, but for me, like apart from HIPAA, because big big certifications in the cybersecurity, in like okay, in most cybersecurity things, we have protocols in place of in terms of communication and stuff like that. But in terms of certifications,
He says besides big certification. You know, I'm not on. I mean, I know there's some people that will like certify certain things through HIPAA. I've also been in some places that claim to be HIPAA compliant and were not certified through anybody, and that I personally didn't believe were HIPAA compliant. In my opinion, HIPAA compliant is a very loose term. I worked for somewhere where I was working with another vendor. It wasn't the person I was working with, but this is a story. But it was another vendor that the company I was working with was, and the other vendor we were going to work with, I was testing out their software, and if you gave a malformed uh, SQL or malformed API call, it would dump their whole database. And I was just like, I don't think that's very HIPAA compliant.
Yeah.
Um, so that was my accidental hacker story.
I think like apart from
But they claimed to be HIPAA compliant, so
yeah,
and they
apart
still
from
claimed that afterwards. So
really.
I don't know if I should have reported that or something. I definitely complained.
Okay, so I think apart from big certification, you can talk about like the encryption you use, because how you store your data. Is it
Mhm.
is it encrypted? Because me as let's say I'm a client and I come to you and I ask you how do you store your data, and it's like when you tell me, if I don't see how you store your data and I'm putting sensitive information, I'm giving you sensitive information, I'll be like,
Yeah.
yeah. And like encryptions and stuff like that. If you like, if I go to a platform and I see the type of encryption they're using and I know, oh, this is a very good encryption, I'll be like, yeah, I'll use this. This is nice. Rather than just, saying we use encryption or HIPAA. Because
Mhm.
also, yes, I've worked with clients that will say we're HIPAA compliant, and then you find stuff and you're like, oh, no, no, this is not HIPAA compliant.
Yeah, but HIPAA is a very U.S. law and it's very, yeah, to talk about maybe back to the social engineering part. I've been at doctors' offices, and nurses walked away and didn't, close up their computer, and like they just walked away, and I didn't say anything, but I'm just like, this just doesn't make me feel comfortable. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like,
yes.
there's a very human aspect to a lot of these security things. So, um, yeah, I don't know if you could maybe go into some of those human security aspects that you can test.
Yeah, so it's okay, we do say this. You're always as strong as your weakest link. Even in security, your security is as strong as your weakest link. Your app may be very, very secure, everything technicality very secure, but the human part is gonna always be the weakest link because it can easily be manipulated.
Hmm.
Okay, so some social engineering, I'll try and explain it using social engineering techniques that people use.
Hmm.
Okay, so one is like spear phishing, which basically means spear focused on an individual, right? And then this involves emails.
Hmm.
So someone will send a really nice crafted email to you with either a link or a PDF, and this can be like, depending with the experience of the hacker, they can either spoof an email of someone you know or someone you don't know, but you look at it, it looks like a genuine email. And once you click on it, you can either install a malware in your system, a ransomware. These are things. By all this, the beauty about the human brain or the human part is it can always be trained. So you can have social media, you can have social engineering training where you do like phishing campaigns, where you can hire a cybersecurity firm like us. We do a social engineering simulation, or you guys, we generate really convincing campaigns. We send to your clients, to your like employees, and see whoever clicks the link, and then
Hmm.
we can like give you the list of the people who have clicked the link. We can develop like a short training course on how they can identify social engineering emails, like phishing emails and stuff like that. So you can always do this on a repetitive basis so that they train. And
Mhm.
then in the long run, that can be easy. It's gonna be easy to spot.
Mhm.
Another thing is like when let's say for example, where you said like we have uh, the doctor going out of the room and leaving their laptop open.
Mhm.
From a hacker, that's very easy because most of the hackers they usually go around with flash rubber duckies. It just takes 3 seconds for me to plug a USB drive there,
Mhm.
download a backdoor, remove, and go back to my sitting position. So, but all this can be taught. You
Mhm.
can set your computer to lock after every like 15 or 30 seconds and it's left open. You can train your employee to lock their laptops before they leave. You can
Mhm.
do a whole lot of simulation so that once when it happens, they know how to protect themselves. And this now we have this remote working arrangement, right? You've got
Mhm.
some other employee working in a cafe, you've got other employees working from home, others working from, I don't want to say where, but everyone is working from somewhere. This
A
brings
beach
in
somewhere, who knows?
exactly, this brings in another challenge of like man in the middle attacks and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
someone may be very good social engineering, but they go into a cafe, log into an unsecure network,
Mhm.
and then just someone sees the credentials, sees everything that you're pushing through. This can easily be protected by using a VPN so
Mhm.
that they'll be like, yeah, they can intercept your data, okay, but it's encrypted. There's nothing they can do about it.
Mhm.
But yeah, social engineering, it should be at the top of your list. And I'll say cybersecurity in general, it's not like a one-time thing, like, oh, I'll do this, and then I'll just leave. I'll do it. I'll be secure for the next 5 years. No,
Mhm.
cybersecurity is evolving. If it's an evolving field,
Especially
vulnerability,
right now.
yeah, AI and stuff like that. They're making hacking easy. There are new vulnerability being found every day.
Mhm.
So for me, I think as cybersecurity as a muscle that you need to train every now and then. So you need to do regular assessments. You need to do
Mhm.
regular staff training on social engineering. And for social engineering, you can use tools that they can spot the social engineering emails and
Mhm.
send them to quarantine rather than sending them to into the inbox of your employees. This would really help.
Yeah. I know I had to sit down with my grandma the other day and talk about what AI was, and she kind of got it. She got that, you can fake someone's voice with AI, and and if if I told her if I ever ask for money, you hang up and you call, and you don't trust it. Like, grandma, and I told her about phishing campaigns and all this other stuff, and yeah, it was an interesting conversation.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and I
So
told her, like you hang up and then you call my number back, and like this is how you do some of these things, and how spoofing numbers works and some of these things, and yeah, it was
yeah,
an interesting conversation.
yeah. Oh, so there was this.
Like if I pretend to be if stuck in jail or something, like just like they can mimic my voice, and these are new things and for our elderly, but yeah, not a work thing, but it's a new world.
Yeah, there is this famous hack that was done. I think if it's not late last year, it is early this year using AI. So there is a company that they
Mm.
received uh like two members received a phishing email from the CEO. They
Yeah.
received an email like, oh, there is this bill you need to pay. It's for 30 million USD. And the staff were like, oh, we need to verify this. It was like, okay, let me set up a Zoom call.
Hmm.
We talk about this meeting, blah, blah, blah. The guy sets up a Zoom call, invite 30 employees onto the Zoom call. Everyone sees this is the CEO. They have a meeting. And before the meeting ends, the CEO tells The finance department, oh, I sent you a bill. Please make sure it's paid before this meeting ends. The finance guy sends the bill, and it turns out that was not the CEO. That was AI that was used to generate face and the voice, and the company lost 30 million US dollars just like that.
That's scary. In a world of remote, that's terrifying.
Hmm. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what we do with that one, but
Yeah, so it's all about training, training. Because if you do regular training, you you might be able to pick some stuff like from the email. If an email, let's say, it has certain features, like
mhm.
it's urgent. They usually it comes like, oh, this is very important. This is urgent. Sense of alert.
Mm,
If you can tell your employee, if you find like this an email comes from me, which is or comes from a fellow employee that is like time conscious or something like this, please verify it before doing anything,
mhm.
and you
Yeah.
can yeah, you can also, you yourself, you can have like a lab environment, a virtual machine, where if you get suspicious email with links or attachments, you open them on a sandbox rather than opening on your machine, and see where the link leads. So in case it's a ransomware, it's in a virtual environment so that your internal systems are not compromised.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Um, yeah, this is a scary world. We got another question coming in from Edwin. I'm starting my career and have been working with REST APIs using Express and Fast API. Could you share with me some common vulnerabilities I should be aware of during development? Um, yeah, I don't know, Moses, if you want to take some of that one. Um,
Yes. Some, let's say, mm, let me think of some vulnerabilities of APIs vulnerabilities.
yeah, I mean, just like limiting with anything else, limiting the scope of what is acceptable input to the
Yeah,
API. Sorry, I don't mean to take over.
no, it's okay.
We and then yeah, from there yeah, don't dump your whole database when someone gives you a command, especially with a HIPAA API. HIPAA compliant API would be great. But you can do the same thing with Chat GPT. You can ask it like,
Also,
hey, like ChatGPT, what are some prompts I should give Cursor to for vulnerabilities on my code, and then put those prompts usually one by one. Um, and then one by one. I find it really good. If you give it too much information at once, it doesn't do it very well. Um,
yeah, I think also when you're building something using APIs, please do not hard code your API keys, because developers sometimes they put the hard
mhm,
they put the API key there and be like, oh, I'm gonna delete it once I'm done this. I don't wanna go there and copy it and bring it back here. Let me just hash it here. Let me put it as a comment here and then continue building once I'm done. I'm gonna take it out. And most people forget, they push the code without removing that key. And then I can just go, let's say, to your GitHub page and just try and look through your code for there are tools which can
mhm,
automate looking for API keys. And I come there and I found your API key, and now it gives me access to more information that I'm more than supposed to have.
mhm.
These are just simple vulnerabilities, like hard coding the API key. That's one of the biggest that I've found. Like 40% of the API pen testing I've done, it's like they've exposed their credential, like making me have access to information that I should not be having.
Yeah. I have some stories of APIs giving me access that I should not have had that I will not share on the internet.
Yeah.
The one I can share is Pokemon Go. Um, I hacked Pokemon Go and it's in a paper. And we had the Pokemon go around in a circle. And yeah, found bias in Pokemon Go data. So you can look me up. I have a paper about it. So that was fun. But yeah, the that was a good time. But yeah, APIs can give you a lot of information that they don't think they should give you.
Yeah. But it's nice to do penetration test on API keys. It's just fun. It's
Yeah, if you're gonna, I would say I've always told people the vulnerabilities I have. Make a Proton account. In the United States, hacking, even if you're doing it out of curiosity, is a crime. Um, and just protect yourself. Um, yeah, yeah. Even if you're just being a good Samaritan and just telling people like, "Hey, your stuff sucks, and you
yes,
need
use
to fix your
Proton.
stuff," like, just do it anonymously. Really don't do it with your name.
Oh, risky. Yeah.
The law has not been nice to people that do it with their own name.
Yeah, and also, yeah, like there is also like if you have a like your own software or your own app, you can use tool like MobSF, which is like an all-in-one framework where you can do like automated static and dynamic analysis of Android, iOS, and Windows apps. It's really nice. It's detailed. It does code review. It's really nice. I would really recommend it. And it's open source.
Thanks, Joshua. He also said they had fake phishing emails at the last company. Um, yeah, those are common to get.
Yeah, the fake ones. Those are like now your company is doing maybe a simulated attack to see how you guys uh, deal with it. That's when you find when you click you click the link in the email or you download the PDF, you'll get a notification from IT like, oh, that was a phishing email, or you'll get, oh, you need to do this particular training. That means you failed
Yeah,
for the campaign. Now you have to do a training so that you don't fall for it again.
I was clicking through emails really quickly and then I clicked on one, so I had to do the training. I was I just clicked through my emails. I wasn't. Yep. So that was good job, Kate. Yep, that was a great job. I didn't do it because I thought it was real. I was just like do, whatever.
Yeah, but that's the same thing. Might have happened if it was a hacker. You go to do, and then the next thing you know, your screen is all black, and then there is a lot.
Yeah, you're right. You're correct. Um, yeah, I just went through my emails too quickly. Yeah, shout out to CH Robinson for at least at least putting those emails out there. I'm glad that they did the training and the assessment and stuff like that. But yeah, I shouldn't click on it. I just shouldn't have clicked on it. They gave me a little warning like don't do that. And I was just like, "Yep, I knew the minute I clicked on it. That was dumb."
Yeah, but at least now next time you know, like don't go so fast through your emails. That's the whole
Yeah.
point. Take your times. Slow is smooth. Smooth is safe.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. So we have 5 more minutes left. Anything else you want to cover? Any more questions from the audience? I don't know, Moses, what kind of things do you see in apps? iOS versus Android kind of concerns. I feel like iOS has done a better job
Oh
in
yes,
general.
Yes, in general, iOS has better security features than Android.
Mhm.
Yeah, so
They also have less devices to deal with in their fairness,
yeah,
but, yeah, there's a little bit more connectiveness between the hardware and the software, in my understanding. Um, but yeah, yeah. I think also I don't love the way that Google has sold data over time. I think there's an incentive in the it's not really a security. I mean, it is a security thing though.
yeah,
Like I think Google has a different business model. Um like when people are selling your data and know so much about you, um the phishing campaigns are a lot easier. You know what I mean when your information is online.
yeah.
Um I think iOS has had a lot more, and I still have a Pixel, so I don't know. I don't know.
I have an Android, but it's for different reason.
Yeah,
Totally different reason. Because the good thing
yeah.
about
I have
Android,
and my name tag is still on here, but I guess I have both. I have a one Android and an iOS. I do it for testing, but my day phone is a Android. But I don't know. I'm thinking about switching because I don't like I'm just not liking Android like selling like the privacy features.
yeah.
Um, but oh, we got Luke. Luke, if you have any questions about we have 2 minutes left, so not a whole lot of time, but about Android or right now we're talking we kind of went off on something, but about mobile security. So we talked about LMs, we talked about some open source tools that you can secure your app with from a developer's perspective. Um, so that's what this is about. But I think we're gonna jump off here pretty soon if there's not another question. Cool. Thanks, Moses, for joining.
You're welcome. It's always nice to have a conversation with you about tech and, you know, latest in the world.
So, did you want to maybe spend the next minute? Do you want to talk about you don't have your pricing on your website or anything, do you? Or any of
And
your packages or anything? Is there anything you want to talk about in that regard,
oh yeah, sure.
or what kind
Uh,
of packages you offer?
so for me, I offer three services. I offer mobile code review,
Mhm,
I offer API penetration testing, and I offer external vulnerability assessment. Since I'm limited to working remotely in Kenya, I do external assessment. This can be your website. Anything which is on the internet about you, I
mhm,
can do penetration test on it. And the pricing, it depends with whatever you're looking for.
mhm,
You'll get clients who want all of it, who want API testing, they want mobile code review, they want external vulnerability assessment. That will be a different price rather from someone who just wants one service. So
mhm,
first, and also it might be external vulnerability test, but you have a limited scope.
mhm,
So for me, that's a different price from someone who has a high, like a very big scope. So the pricing really depends on the scope that you want and your needs. That's why I don't wanna put a fixed price there because I understand every business has specific needs and have a specific budget for their security. So that's why. But yeah, for us, basically MSEC Consulting is a cybersecurity consulting firm that is works with small businesses to be specific and startups to improve their cybersecurity online. I just wanna make the internet a safer place, one application at a time.
I love it. Okay, cool. So yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate the time. Getting this information out in the world. I have been trying to advocate for more security at a lot of places that I work at with varying results. Lately at FieldKit, it's been good, and we did implement the stuff that you suggested, and we really appreciate you coming in. Um, but it hasn't always been successful at every place I've worked at. I've found security vulnerabilities, and it's just been kind of like meh response sometimes. So I appreciate you getting this information out in the world, and especially for people who are looking for open source and low cost solutions. And thank you so much for your time.
No problem, Kate. Always happy to talk to you. And thank you for the invite to this. It was really informative to me too, from the developer's perspective, because I don't build apps, I only break into them. So also
You could
getting,
do the fun part.
yeah, I get to do the fun
I
part.
do like building apps. I do. I think my part's the fun part too. But as they say in Kenya, asante sana. Thank you very much. And kwaheri. Bye.
Bye.